time I met her, I made a kind of faux pas. It wasn't the first time, but it doesn't matter. After one of the 5 shows, how many did she do with me? Yeah. She wanted to go see a film I hadn't heard of that had Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda. Can anybody come up with the answer?
Easy Rider.
Yeah.
Oh, Easy Rider.
And Easy Rider. And during the movie, I kept hearing, it was Janis's Southern Comfort bottle, filling and refilling a plastic cup. And she seemed unfazed by it. I got high on the fumes, but and when we arrived that night, we came right from the studio, so she was in all her feathers, and I was neatly. We went so fast that I still had my show clothes on, and I guess I didn't realize how famous Janis was. When we got there, the crowd out front just sort of parted. And then I thought, was that for me or for Janis? But you'd have thought that JFK and Jackie had arrived, or Dick Cheney and Lynn. No, Time Warner. Then we went to Elaine's. She had never been to Elaine's. And Elaine's was so full of the famed that nothing registered. When a celebrity came in, nobody looked up. When Janis came in, it was the only time I ever saw Elaine's go silent. And somebody clapped, and some more people clapped, and she was very moved. We sat down at a table for 2, and somebody, it must have been a jukebox, because suddenly one of her songs, she said, that's one of my songs they're playing. They'd seen her come in, of course. And I said, what's it called? And she said, Down on Me. And I said, I guess that's one you can't do on television. She said, it's a gospel song. And it was.
Did your rapport as friends sort of influence or shape the way that you prepared for interviews? Did you like call her up beforehand, or because you have a very distinct interview style?
That's what you'd think would, usually, the way most talk show work was set by Jack Parr. The pattern was you had a few people on the staff called talent coordinators or segment producers or whatever, and they would often call the person if the person would be called, or have lunch with them and make notes. But with Janis, I didn't need any of that. I had some, but it just seemed, as in the best segments of a talk show, it was a conversation right away. And she, that one piece in there about her reunion, you saw the reaction I got from the audience, and the idea of Janis looking at her as she looked, appearing at the reunion. There's a part later in that where she says, I said, you're really going to the reunion and your former friends? And she said, honey, those people ran me out of class, out of the school, and out of the town, and I'm going back. I guess she had some impact there. Yeah. But in that part, it doesn't all seem jolly, does it?
No, I feel like that really was the moment where Janis kind of realized she was fighting the wrong battles, because you were talking about Elaine's, and it just reminded me of a story that I heard about that trip to Port Arthur. They went over to Louisiana to this blues bar where they used to go all the time, and I guess when she walked in, everyone was just grabbing at her, and
grabbing at her.
Yeah, because she was famous, she was Janis, and it was like her childhood.
Yeah.
And I think she felt exploited or something, because she went in the bathroom and they didn't hear from her for quite some time, and then John Burncook's girlfriend went in and found her just crying at the stall closed door, and she just, I think she realized that they don't want her for her, they just kind of wanted a piece of the new Janis, and I think that trip, her brother and sister say that actually was kind of a turning point with her family, because she stopped trying to confront them all the time and trying to get something out of them. They kind of eased into something different right after that awful wake-up call for her.
And of course, maybe she suddenly recalled that when she was in that high school, a group of boys voted her the ugliest man in class.
Yeah. Yeah.
She survived a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I guess when you were speaking with her family and other people, how did you sort of, because again, obviously this happened a long time ago, but she was a very, very strong force. How did you sort of help people get back and to those memories and access those feelings and get, this, because what they say is very candid and very, like it happened yesterday.
Yeah, and I don't think that's anything to do with me. I actually think that's the impact Janis had on everybody in her life. I think that she left such a strong mark with all these people. I mean, it's, every single person I interviewed had a moment where I don't want to speak for you, but something that I interpreted as a moment of like looking for those clues of how could I have done something different. And, it's just, there was so much love there for Janis across the board.
The line about asking her if she was doing heroin, tell me you're not, took place in Sardi's.
Where we did the interview. That's where we shot
Yeah,
the interview.
that's right. And her entrance at Sardi's also caused sudden silence all over the room. It was something wonderful to see. And she enjoyed it. But when I said that, and she said, who would care? I cannot remember what I said. Let's hope I said I would. You'd think that would be easy for anyone to say at that point.
It just seemed like she didn't think that anyone got her for who she was, and across the board. It was like she had to be performing or dressing a certain way or being Janis Joplin to receive the love, because she was so confused by the hole that it filled inside of her from her painful childhood.
And wouldn't you both love to know, and you, what it felt like to be Janis at that peak height of her performing, when she almost went into another world. The first time I ever saw her, I didn't know who the hell she was, or who anybody in the rock world was. Never dreaming they would all come on my shows later, partly because Janis said he's okay. And I was taken to Fillmore. Remember Fillmore, anyone?
Yeah.
And one person? And there were 5 acts. She was one of them. And as I left with my friend, I said, who was that girl with the green velvet pants? She was quite unusual. And he said, her name is Janis Joplin. And I, to my eternal credit, said, do you think we'll ever hear more of her? I said, what category would you call her? To me, she's an ecstatic. And I was so proud of myself for thinking of the word ecstatic. But I think that's what she was. It was almost like a high religious fervor of some sort. And I hate to have to tell you that you really can get a tremendous feeling of her from the film, but to be in the room with her when she sang was stunning. And then I'd go home and watch it after she'd sung on my show. And about 50% of it was gone by the flatness of television. So, but when you were there, it got to the roots of your hair. I don't mean people shouldn't see the movie. Good.